cemetery. I will fight, never wary, I wanna be legendary. Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery. I will fight, never wary, I wanna be legendary.
Bret Thornton, how are you, mate?
Good, thanks, Rocco. Thanks for having me. Vince,
thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks for having us.
Or T-Bird.
T-Bird, yeah, definitely.
Did you like that name?
Yeah, I haven't heard that for a while, but yeah, certainly got a good run when all those years when I was back here.
Now we're all in our sunnies today, seeing it's such a beautiful sunny day in Melbourne.
Beautiful autumn day.
Yeah, in front of the great
Rocco and I got
Princess
our
uh,
Park.
coffees, and here you go, here's your milkshake.
Thank you.
I love it, I love it. All right.
Actually, everyone, it's only water, so don't think he's drinking milk.
No, that's it. All right, so we're here to showcase legends of the Carlton Football Club.
That's it.
Done about legends.
You're great, good, ordinary players.
That's it.
You went from great to good to ordinary.
You're getting more around the mark now.
Well, you did play 188. We were working that out. It's 188 or 189 all up.
So yeah, 188 and then one for GWS.
One for GWS.
Yeah,
one great game for GWS.
Yeah. No, it was a game. It was a game.
And don't forget his 30 goals as well.
He did kick 30 goals. He did.
He did.
I reckon, was there a game against GWS or Gold Coast where you kicked 4?
I think it was, 4. Yeah, I think that was
4 or 5?
I think 4.
Put it this way, there were a lot of goals.
A lot of goals.
We'll say 5.
We had a lot of goals.
Yeah, we'll say 5.
Yeah, I think that was Gold Coast first game in the comp. So yeah,
At
it was
the Gabba.
at the Gabba. So it
They
was
chucked you forward.
chucked him out forward. So yeah, it was nice to
That was a nice
shackles
present from Bret Thornton.
I think we had about 150 inside 50s that night. So it was hard not to get on the end of the 50.
We did too.
You're a beautiful kick for goal too, I've got to say. You're a very accurate, dead-eye, straight kick.
Yeah, even though I played backline, I used to always have a lot of shots after training for a lot of reasons. So I suppose it sort of paid dividends late in the career when I went forward. So
did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
So when in your junior years, where'd you play?
Yeah, probably more forward and midfield.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really play much defence at all until I got to Carlton. So
Yeah.
You never expected to play most of your football at full back.
I didn't. No, didn't. But
Isn't it funny how things work out, eh?
It
And you
is.
played against some good forwards at the time, yeah? Some tough forwards.
Definitely, yeah. They were tough days back for the Blues back then. So you know, I was always sort of in the action.
Yeah, you would have been heaps. You would have been heaps in the action.
But yeah, you're right. Like the Browns and Halls and Lloyds, and so I was Rewalds. So I had very lucky to play against some absolute stars of the game. So
I'll tell you what. You know how they say timing is everything.
Yeah.
Well, you got drafted at the end of 2001. And your first year of football was a wooden spoon. Not only a wooden spoon, but our first ever wooden spoon. Must have been a baptism of fire, really.
It was a bit, yeah. I mean,
do you remember your first game?
I do. I think it was Freo over in Subiaco. So but as you said, it was certainly a tough year for the club, and it's sort of that history that we don't want, and we want to.
That was about halfway through that year too, wasn't it? It wasn't at the start.
My first game.
I reckon it was round 5 or something.
Yeah, I reckon it was. Yes, round 5,
quarter of the way through. Yeah. I was gonna say we was talking to Walker the other day, and he said it's funny how people go, "You won the wooden spoon." Is that what we won? Did we won the wooden spoon?
More like you were spanked with the wooden spoon.
It was like winning the 2 night flags as well.
Yes, that was a 2-time night premiership player. Yeah, and he told me that and you celebrated those.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have too much else to celebrate.
Yeah, I think coming off the wooden spoon, Yeah, we sort of got excited about the little things back then. So probably.
Yeah. Did you so you win the first Wizard Cup? Well, we might as well go to that, right? Yeah. You win that first Wizard Cup. Do you go in now believing, mate, we could do something? Is that what the belief of the?
Yeah, that was a weird year because I still remember that pre-season was unbelievable. It's probably one of the best pre-seasons you know, that I was involved in, and they'd come out.
The pre-season games?
Oh no, the pre-season.
So how do you tell that, like, training's like, what happens? No one's dropping the ball, like, what's
no, it was just that everyone was running PBs and everyone was just so fit, like getting into it, and then winning that pre-season flag, and then it's weird how footy happens like that, because then the wheels fell off, and I think we actually won the wooden spoon that year as well. We won the night flag, didn't we? I think.
Yeah. In 2005 we did.
So I don't know.
Both years that we won the pre-season cup,
we won.
We didn't win the wooden spoon on both years. We won the wooden spoon in 2005, but then in the 2007 we saw the end of the coach. he got the sack.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So who would have thought that you win a pre-season premiership?
Which coach?
Dennis Pagan.
Yeah, Dennis Pagan. And then, I've lost
16 games into the season. The coach loses his job.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's weird how it happens.
You really played in what could only be described as a very stormy period for the club, and you really held your head up, because you're one of the few players that we can get a bit excited about because of your development as a player. We saw you grow right through that period. I mean, you became someone we really relied upon.
Important defender at one
time. I mean, if it wasn't for you, who would we have put on? Guys like Scott Lucas and Matthew Lloyd and these guys that were playing at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
and they were in the prime of their careers.
Yeah, they were. I mean, that's what I said before. I mean, it wasn't good times at all, but for me, it's being a young player, learning so much, playing on those guys, and as we said, the ball was down there a lot. So, but I mean, thanks for that. But I just wish we could have had some better times. That's for sure.
When you got drafted, so you were rookie, weren't you?
Yeah, I got rookie drafted. Yeah.
Remember what draft number you were?
I think. I think 32, was it, or something?
I was just wondering, is that the reason they gave you the number? Don't worry, I've got all the stats.
Yes.
So, that had nothing to do with the number on your back?
No, not at all. I think I was just Shane O'Sullivan back then.
I reckon Shane might have given you 32 because of that reason.
Maybe, but I just remember getting handed the jumper, and you were just that number. So
did you meet anyone before who'd worn that jumper beforehand, like a David Glascott or an Adrian Whitehead?
I think David Glascott actually presented me with a jumper at the jump presentation. Yeah. So and then. We
interviewed him last year. You're suffering from the same disease.
That's common, mate. We're all copping that one.
There, but don't worry, I'm just about there.
It was a real privilege, to get that number and to sit in front of that locker to see the names that had gone before me. It's pretty much everyone were multiple premiership players in that Guernsey. So it was
And you won best first year player in your first season.
I think so. Yeah,
it was a good achievement. Really good achievement.
When you get drafted, right? So you're there, you're rookie. So. All right, let's tell everyone how this works, right? So, are you training with the club?
No, so I remember that period. It's amazing for young players. I think it might be a bit different now, but I actually had 3 AFL clubs come to my house and say what number they were going to take me in the draft. So draft day comes. Okay,
Who were the 3 clubs?
Port Adelaide, Hawthorn. And I think Sydney were the last one.
Fuck, you must be on top of the world.
So no, it wasn't. No, not Carlton. So so you miss the first pick and you go, it's all right. I've still got 2 more chances. Then that third pick comes and goes, and you go and you've got your family. And it was like the end of the world. But then, I still remember that day. I don't know why. But then I remember it was about an hour after the draft. Neil Danaher actually got on the phone. And,
really?
Yeah, and
he was coaching Melbourne.
Melbourne was coaching Melbourne, and he said, commiserations not getting drafted and all that, but you know what, we'd love you to come down and train, come tomorrow morning. And so I did 4 weeks down there training with them. And then he said, if Carlton don't take you, we'll take you. So
because Carlton
had a pick before or something the way.
And did you have any inkling that they were going to kind of pick you up?
No, only through Melbourne. They said they knew. So and then to see what's happened with Neil Danaher in these years past, in these years that have gone by, it was just a privilege. I didn't spend too much time with him, but I had a few chats with him, and just a great man and what he's been able to do. So that's the journeys you have in footy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I just love it how, like, as a young kid, I can just imagine how excited you are, and then you had the disappointment, and then you get picked up. Then you do get picked up.
Yeah, that's right, and you get a sort of second chance at it. And it's funny because back then I wouldn't change it for the world. I don't know. Once again, I think it's different now. But back then, the guys that got taken in the national draft hardly did any pre-season training, like for the first 4 or 5 weeks. But the rookie listed, because we were trying to prove yourself. You trained with the whole main group, so it was like I'd sort of got to jump on those guys.
Yeah, so, it's amazing how many rookie listed players actually make it and really make it. I mean, I think Michael Jamison was another player. He was another fullback like yourself who ended up coming up through the rookie list. Andrew Carazzo, a lot of players did very, very well, even though they were rookie listed.
Yeah, and as I said, it was sort of a second chance. You probably got even more hungrier that you wanted to prove people wrong.
Do you, because you're a rookie, do you give a little bit more? Like, is there this thing about I've got to prove myself?
Yeah, definitely. And you got a bit of a chip on your shoulder as well. That, you played against guys that got drafted in the national draft, and so and looking back, I wouldn't have changed that time for the world. So
And you're first, and then you play a little bit in the reserves.
Do that full pre-season, and then first few weeks in the reserve, must have played a few.
Did you play your first season? Did you get a game? Was that when you got your first game?
Played. Yeah, that was
It was actually round 10 against Fremantle.
I think I got that chance because Matthew Allen went on the long-term injury list. I think he busted his foot or something. So I think
we had a lot of injuries in 2002.
And back then you got rookies could have got the chance with those long-term injuries. You can get on the promoted to the senior.
And how did you who told you? Like, how does that work out? You're there training. Does the coach call you in, or do you get an inkling from someone?
I'm pretty sure Wayne, because we were playing in Perth. I think he told me early in the week to.
Well, what do you mean back then? Don't they set up a camera inside the room and have your mum and dad on the other end of the phone, and they make an announcement in front of all the players, and then they all jump all over you to announce your first game? That's what they do now.
They're not that fanfare, but it was. I was born in Perth, so it was weird how it happened as well. So
West Australian.
West
Australian. Family there?
I didn't know that.
Still a lot of cousins and
so they all come and see you?
Yeah. So there was quite a big crowd. Their mum flew over for it, and
didn't you grow up here in Melbourne?
Yeah. So I moved over, born in Perth, and moved over here when I was like 5.
Okay.
Oh, right.
So I didn't spend too long.
What's your first possession? Do you remember?
Oh, gee, that's a good question.
I don't know. I'm just wondering if you'd remember. I'd remember.
You know what? I reckon
it wasn't a goal. I know.
No, it wasn't a goal. I reckon
it took
maybe
quite a few games to get.
I think maybe Ange Christie handballed to me, and I put it on the boot quickly. Or something
Ange will
like
take
that.
it. Ange will take it.
Yeah, he was great to play with, old Ange.
He would have been.
That was his last year.
It was, yeah.
2002.
Yeah, no,
he was a good player. He tells you that.
Can I just ask you? I know you're only 18 years of age at the time, and obviously disappointing to finish last in the first time in our history. But as I said, you won Best First Year Player. But what was it like at the end of that year? I mean, there was upheaval. Wayne Britton, your first senior coach, gets the sack.
Yeah, it was
the announcement of Dennis Pagan to come across. What was it like for you and the players?
With all the Elliott stuff. Yeah, that's right.
Lost basically most of the board had resigned. By the end of the year.
Looking back, we would have got Wells and Goddard, wouldn't we? Those picks, but that could have changed a bit. But
maybe.
Yeah, no, definitely it was. You're right. As an 18-year-old, there was. The media and all that, and it was a pretty massive time for the club. So,
but as an 18-year-old, do you just try and switch off from it all, or do you actually take a deep interest in what's going on and talk about it with the boys? Do you guys talk about? I mean,
a lot of that happened when the season had finished, didn't it? I think so. But you obviously, I mean, looking back, Wayne Britton was just probably in the wrong place, the wrong time. A lot of the boys loved him as a coach. So.
They did. Not that I was there, but every time I speak to someone, they go, he was a really good tactical coach, wasn't he?
Good communicator, good rapport with the players.
Do you think the club made a mistake in getting rid of him at the time? He had a year to go on his contract. There was a year where we had a lot of injuries.
Yeah, I mean,
he'd taken us to finals the year before in his first official.
That's right, and learning under a great
and you could argue that the previous 2 years where we made the top 4 and even a grand final, he was effectively coaching the side on match day.
He was. That's
right. That caretaker. I mean, it's hard to say that the club made a bad choice. I mean, Dennis Pagan's resume spoke for itself, and with what happened.
It's not so much because Dennis Pagan. I mean, put him aside. I'm just talking about. Do you think Wayne Britton deserved to be given another opportunity after one bad year? okay, the worst possible result you can think of, finishing last. But do you think he was the scapegoat for John Elliott?
Possibly, yeah.
Trying to save his own skin and his own presidency
Maybe.
and his own board?
Probably looking at it, you got to,
We're all generals.
That's what I think.
We're all generals after the battle,
That's
aren't
his
we?
favourite saying.
We're all generals after the battle.
Yeah, you're right. It's easy to say that in hindsight.
Yeah, that's it.
But,
So all of a sudden, Dennis Pagan, a two-time premiership coach at North Melbourne, arrives, and what's it like? Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, I loved playing under Pagan. He was very hard, but you know, if you worked hard and you did the right things, he'd always look after you. He's very loyal in that way. So
it's interesting you say that, because of all of the players that we've interviewed, a lot of the younger ones that were 18, 19, 20, looking for guidance, looking for direction, looking for that father figure,
definitely,
they really took to Pagan. Whereas a lot of the experienced guys who thought that they knew a bit of everything and felt like they, almost owned their spot in the team.
Yeah, they did, and
they resisted.
Even as a young player, I saw that as well. A lot of that. I think a lot of the older players, maybe rightly or wrongly, thought they had the runs on the board. And I think Pagan came in, he just was a clean slate where the club was, and I probably benefited from that as well.
Definitely.
But I mean, a lot of people say stuff about Pagan, but as I said, I couldn't say any more good things about him.
And he had it like he came in, and he
was
away got dealt.
He was given a day deal.
They're taking away his draft.
100%. It was he was on the back foot from the start.
And was that the year that we got like 5 or 6 players from other clubs with Martin and all that?
Yeah.
Was that that year?
I don't know. Was that? I don't know if that was his first year, or maybe his second year.
No, his first year that he came across was when we lost all the draft picks.
Yeah, and
in 2002,
remember then we picked up Martin and Scotland.
No, that was at the end of his first year.
Yeah, right, so
they made a decision to get as many of these experienced guys who probably played their best football already, but they got Harford from Hawthorn.
Yeah.
I remember Brett Johnson from Hawthorn.
Yeah.
David Teague from North Melbourne.
Yeah. Scotland.
Nick Stevens from Port Adelaide. Digby Morrell from North Melbourne. So a lot of...
Yeah, it was a big turnover.
But then you had a not bad year.
And Heath Scotland was a great player for us.
Scott,
probably the best of the lot.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
What did he go on to play?
I can't remember how many.
200.
It's
I'll put it this way. He played
yeah.
about 50-something for Collingwood, but then he played over 200 games
Yeah,
for us.
100%, yeah.
No, he was a super player.
Yeah.
And you had a good year then.
Oh, yeah, we did. We were
2003, we actually ended up with 10 wins, I think.
Yeah, we were not, I reckon, 9th or 10th we finished.
Yeah. No, we finished 11th, but it was actually a really promising year. In fact, I think the last game of the season we beat Collingwood by a point.
I remember that game, that's right. And everyone was really super excited for that.
Yeah, we actually had some great expectations after that. Yeah. And then, of course, winning the Wizard Cup the following pre-season, everyone thought we were going to be premiers.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't quite turn out that way, but and you were playing with a full forward called Brendan Favola. Tell us what it was like to have him at the other end of the ground.
Yeah, that was some fun years. I actually. Brendan was in Blackrock and I was in Elwood at the time, so I came to training and went home with him most days, especially when he lost his licence for about 4 years. So, 4 years. Yeah, I think Heidi drove us in a game a fair bit. And
this is your wife?
Yeah, Heidi. Yeah,
then girlfriend.
Yeah, that's right. But
hello, Heidi, if you're watching.
But certainly. I mean, what a talent! Like whatever you say about Brendan, he was just a super footballer.
He was the excitement machine that kept Carlton supporters coming to the footy.
100%.
Let's be honest.
Then Eddie Betts probably helped a bit of that.
And Eddie,
But he was very different character, Brendan. Certainly. Yeah. He's not going to have many regrets in life. He hasn't. I don't think he thinks like that, does he?
He keeps coming back. Even now, he's doing well for himself.
He's lived life to the fullest, and
he definitely gave the supporters some excitement there. Like we used to love him, man. And he could win the game. And not many players you can say that can win it off their own boot, and he did it. Like, were you there when we kicked the 8 against Essendon?
2007. We were about 9 goals behind, and all of a sudden
in the second half.
7 in the second half.
That's right. Yeah, I do remember that.
And,
I don't know.
All of a sudden we came back and won the game. It was I think that was the greatest comeback in Carlton history.
It was.
Is that right?
Yeah. And you were part of it.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I was playing that day. But yeah, I mean.
You're a very important player.
But it was amazing though.
Not in the first half. They were 9 goals up.
We certainly had some. I mean, even though we were, Essendon and us and Collingwood were probably struggling a bit in those mid 2000s. But there was a couple of draws in there.
Yes.
It was always. Doesn't matter where we were on the ladder. Yeah, it was always amazing games.
That was the last year of James Hird's career and the last of Kevin Sheedy's coaching career at Essendon.
That's right, yeah.
And then, of course, you would have seen Kevin Sheedy when you went to GWS.
I did, yeah.
What's he like as a mentor,
he would have
father figure, coach that he was at the time?
Yeah, well, legend of the game, I mean, I actually remember having dinner with him one of my first nights up there at Breakfast Point. So it was, it was just one-on-one. It was, great. It was just his memory and his knowledge of the game was just incredible. But
when someone like that talks like a Kevin Sheedy, do you look at him like I don't know, with awe? Do you kind of look 100%. At him and
he's just the legend of the game. It was certainly a privilege to spend a couple of hours with him.
Did he scare you?
Not scared, but I mean, you certainly revere him and. Yeah. But he was pretty relaxed that night. He had a few reds. He doesn't mind mind a red old Kevin. So
that's true.
It was definitely a relaxed sort of night, but certainly still learned a lot and took so much in what he said.
Tell me, you started getting a bit of a reputation amongst the Carlton faithful as being someone who had a bit of lip out in the field and used to chastise your teammates sometimes and be quite expressive and demonstrative on the ground.
Yeah.
Was that just because you were so passionate about the game and about it mattered to you what was going on? Or was that just something that crept into your
I think
psyche?
There's probably a bit of immaturity and all that, but as you said, it was only ever from a good spot. Like, it was only passion. I mean, looking back on it now, I probably overstepped it a few times and probably could have learned from it a bit better. But
what was always things you said?
Yeah, just my body language and things I said, but it was always because I wore my heart on my sleeve. It was just frustrating, playing back a lot there and back in those days. And
you wouldn't have been human if you weren't frustrated with some of the things that were going on at the time. But
footy is probably a bit different now. You probably can't get away with that these days. You probably get pulled in the line a bit more. But
stop bullying your teammates.
That's it. Stop.
I found that quite interesting because I always suspected that you were just a passionate guy who cared a lot about his own personal performance and the performance of the team, and might have been good to see a bit of that from some of the others who looked like they were lacking in that area.
Yeah, I mean, I probably can't talk for them, but as you said, it was always from a good spot with me. Like always,
Tell me something. You hear this from a lot of fullbacks.
Yeah.
If you play there for too long without a bit of a break, you start going bananas. A lot of fullbacks have almost needed psychological help after their careers because of constantly having nightmares about full forwards kicking a bag on them. Did you used to have that?
There was certainly a lot of nights after games that I didn't sleep much for sure, and then nights before leading into games. But
because it's such a tangible result, isn't it? Like if your opponent as a wingman gets 30 possessions and beats you in the contest or whatever, okay, people might notice, but they don't make a big deal of it. But Lucas kicked 6 on you today.
And you're right. And there's games where he can kick 6 and you still have a good game. It's a bit of a there's not much.
And then sometimes you don't play on him the whole time. But then you get blamed for all the 6 goals that were kicked on you,
it's a bit of a thankless role there.
It's like when Kernahan kicked 10 in the state game. Everyone thinks he kicked 10 on Bruce Doull, but he didn't kick them all on Bruce Doull. He kicked about 3 or 4 of them.
But who was that opponent that was like, they used to give you nightmares every time you were going to come up against him?
Who was your hardest one?
I think Nick Riewoldt, the way he was sort of that pioneer of that. Just when you played on him, he used to run 15k. Like it's just.
I was just going to ask you about that. He used to run his opponents off.
He used to run you off.
He'd take you up to the half back line and just
for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, he was just a freak athlete.
He used to run like 10k's before the game started. Like he used to do like he used to.
That was just in the warm up.
That was in the warm up.
Yeah, from a physical game, you knew when you played on Riewoldt, but then I suppose. Probably someone like Jonathan Brown.
He's tough.
Just tough and just,
was he lippy?
Yeah. Oh, they were all lippy. And
did anyone get into your head a bit like that psychologically?
Brown maybe a bit, and Barry Hall, I suppose.
Barry Hall.
But
Barry Hall, you wouldn't want to run into him in a dark alley.
Yeah.
When he's upset.
Would they say something like, I don't know, well, what's the best thing? Would they say something like, listen, mate?
Smash your head in.
Yeah, Brown would always say, you kill me in the game. But it was, you had to sort of cover though, because they had so many runs on the board, those blokes. I mean, 3-time premiership player Brown, and or 3-time Barry Hall. And so just unbelievable players.
They gave you a little bit of respite after the 2005 Wooden Spoon by playing Lance Whitnall in the back line. They shifted him to centre half back.
Yeah, that's
right. He had such a good year that he won the best and fairest. That must have at least provided some relief for you down back at that time.
Yeah, I mean, just someone like Lance with the,
he's got a good read of the game,
great football brain. Certainly for me, like getting a bit of support and a senior player like that sort of. Yeah. And you could be a bit more, freed me up a bit, didn't always play that lockdown role either with him, so with playing with him. So that was certainly good for me. Gave me a bit of a break, as you said. So
what was your best game? Final?
Maybe that Essendon final, that when we won that
by like
2011, 2011 elimination final.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
Yeah. What about the first one? I mean, we finally, after 2007, Pagan gets replaced by Rats. Yeah. He coaches for half a dozen games at the end of that year. Judd comes along. Cruiser comes along. And all of a sudden, we start to improve. Got a lot more wins under Rats in 2008. Not enough to make finals, but you could see that there was progress.
Definitely, yeah.
And then in 2009 and 10, we make elimination finals. We lost them both, but how did it feel to finally run out and play a final?
Yeah,
the first one was in Brisbane, 2009.
Yeah, I remember that game. I reckon
remember who you played on that day?
You were 24 points up coming into the last quarter.
I reckon Nick Stevens had a shot at goal to put us like
30 points up.
He
did. He kicked the first goal of the last quarter.
Not blaming Nick for that, but you just remember those.
Well, that goal, that could change it. Did you play in Bradshaw?
I reckon,
part of the time.
Part of the time,
because he went.
Killed us.
What happened in that last quarter? He just went like crazy.
I remember that.
I think they had a run.
The crowd was just going bananas that night as well. Yeah, they just got one of those runs that it was just hard to stop. But you're right what you said. I mean, Juddy coming in and all those good young guns that we started picking up. It was really exciting times around the club, and Chris brought in such a professionalism that sort of everyone got on board. I reckon that helped with training standards.
Was he standards above everyone else? Were they?
Just a freak, It was amazing, like how one player can come in and everyone just it just changes the whole psychology of the club pretty much. And he was a massive part of starting to get in those finals. And
you're not the first person that said that. Like nearly every person has said, as soon as Judd came in, like the standard just lifted. And watching him, like I don't want to put words in, but watching him doing that extra stuff after, like you're thinking, whoa, is that what it takes to be?
Yeah, it was. And I was lucky enough. I mean, I played under 18. He was my Vic Metro captain as well.
Oh, was he?
So I knew what he. Wow. And then to see what he did at West Coast as that 18, 19-year-old.
Was he good at the Metro Cup? Was at the junior level?
Well, it's funny you say that. He was our first game. I remember I was down in Geelong and he dislocated his shoulder in the first 5 minutes. So he didn't. He had
problem with shoulders right through his.
Well, that's why he didn't get taken number one. That's why he slipped down. I think they were worried. Clubs were worried that he had problems on both shoulders, but
he was in that magic draft that they talk about, the 2001 draft, where
that's right,
Hodge. That was one that you were part of.
That was
Hodge went 1, Luke Ball went 2, and he went to St Kilda,
and Judd 3,
and Judd went 3.
They all won premierships.
4. What's that?
And they all won premierships.
They all won premierships, and Luke Hodge was 4, wasn't he?
No, Luke Hodge was 1.
Oh, sorry, Hodge, sorry.
And Luke Ball was 2. And Judd was 3.
It was an amazing draft that. I remember that carnival, that under 18 carnival. It was just the players that were playing in it. Yeah, it was just incredible.
Were you part of the Cruiser Cup?
That game against Melbourne.
Last game of 2007.
I think I'd been wound up that year. I'd had an operation.
You were with Andrew Walker.
But I remember watching that game. Yeah, it was that was a weird game. The atmosphere was They were almost, Carlton supporters almost barracking when Melbourne kicked goals.
Yeah.
That was
weird. I think everyone, look, let's be honest, I think the club, the supporters, I think everyone, it was a weird feeling of not wanting to win that game.
To get there was more benefit in losing that game than there was in winning it. But I mean, the AFL created that situation with their own rules. Let's be honest; they're the ones to blame by providing such an incentive to finish with 2 seasons of 4 wins or less.
That's right.
Both teams went into that last game on 4 wins, so one of them
was going to get rewarded.
And Melbourne lost.
You know what? If they both had a draw,
what happens there?
Neither one of them gets it, because then it's 4.5 wins. You've got to finish on 4 wins or less.
I wonder what would have happened if that happened.
No priority pick. There wouldn't have been a priority pick.
Because you had to,
and in fact, after that year, they changed the rules to not make that automatic priority pick for 2 consecutive years of 4 wins or less. They then said, no, it's at the discretion of the AFL.
Jeez,
Why do you reckon they did that?
Wow.
But anyway, it was a weird game.
That was the weirdest game I've ever been involved in. It was just, I remember being in the rooms before the game and all that. You just didn't know what to think. Like, it was,
But the players are thinking the same thing, let's be honest. They're thinking the same thing. They're thinking, like, I know that as a player, you would have to be going out there to win every game.
Yeah, definitely.
I know that, come on, you'd be thinking like, we would like that number 1 pick.
Can I give you and all of our viewers out there an interesting piece of information? Do you remember who coached Melbourne in that last few weeks? Because Neil Danaher was also replaced halfway through the year with an interim coach, and he ended up being an assistant coach.
Bomber Riley.
Mark Bomber Riley. And he ended up coming to Carlton.
That's right.
Almost within a month after that game.
He did,
as an assistant.
I reckon that was a little bit.
What does that
thank you very much, mate. You can come over here.
Make of that what you will. Nothing to see here.
He has got a good memory.
But that's seriously.
Yeah, that was.
And you know what? 3 Melbourne players retired at the end of that game, and they cheered them off the ground. Well done, boys! Great win. They ended up costing themselves a priority pick. I think it was Daniel Ward. I think Whelan and Clint Bizzle. From memory, they cheered them all off the ground.
The memories.
They had a good win, the Demons, that night.
Of this bloke, man.
I'm not sure the club would have been.
You know who was actually trying really hard for us that night?
Who's that?
Because his whole career was at stake.
Who's that?
Well, let's put it this way. I talked about him before as a great player who won the best and fairest in 2006. And unfortunately in 2007, he was given the captaincy, but his knees were just shot.
Lance.
Lance Whitnell.
Yeah, right.
He played that night, and you could just tell his knees were gone.
Yeah, they were.
And he was trying hard, but at the end of that year, he can go from chocolates to boiled lollies in 12 months. From being best and fairest and being given the captaincy to... No, thanks very much. Not only you're not captain next year, but you're not even on the list, and see you later.
It's pretty ruthless footy.
It's a ruthless game, definitely. But anyway, look, what I was going to bring back to your attention was 2011, as you said, that elimination final against Essendon. What a great year that was for the club.
Certainly was,
You know, we finally not only made it, I mean, that was the 3rd year in a row, elimination final, but this time against the Bombers that we hate so much, we put it on the board, and we smashed them, didn't we?
That was amazing. That was definitely the best game I've been involved in. That was 96,000 or something, and the atmosphere. Was it? Yeah, they sort of jumped us earlier. I remember that game. I think they were 3 or 4 goals up, and then
we slipped in
after quarter time. That was it, and then the following week we were.
And that was Walker's really good year, where he kicked over 50 goals. I think Eddie might have kicked 50, and Jeffy Garlett might have kicked close to 50.
Yeah, there was that mosquito fleet, wasn't it? That was they were.
Well, we needed that, didn't we? Because of course.
We didn't have
We've glossed over this, but Brendan Favola was lost to us after 2009. So how was that when we lost Fev? I mean, did we feel like we could cover him, or do you think we've ever really covered him since then?
Well, the jury's out. I think Charlie and Harry are probably doing a good job of doing it now. But
it's taken 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, you can never really replace it. He's a generational player for Favola, so he was certainly a big hole. But to Ratz's credit, and the way they came out with that forward setup, it certainly worked for those couple of years. It was
100%, because the year before Well, Walker told us that the year before they put him at full forward for the Sydney game, and he kicked 3 goals, and then he was almost out the door, and they said, right, we've got an idea, going to chuck you forward, and it worked.
Yeah, it did, kicking 50 goals, that's amazing.
Walks was also potentially going to be another casualty back then.
Yeah, he was.
He was almost out the door. And then he was almost going to be an Adelaide Crow.
Yeah, and then he was involved in that last minute. I remember against West Coast, should have got that free kick.
Well, that was 2 years later.
Well, I was lying in hospital watching the game. I remember that. I got knocked out at half time, but yeah.
You were at GWS that year.
No, the Essendon.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong game.
2011 the week.
2011.
So I've
I
got
beg your
back
pardon.
to.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think all Carlton supporters thought it was a free kick.
No,
it was.
Yeah. I've watched it over and over again.
Even Walk said it was.
He got him in a headlock just about.
Guess who the umpire was?
Chamberlain.
Razor Ray.
Razor Ray.
And then we'd beaten Geelong twice that year, so that would have been interesting if we'd made the prelim. And
Geelong goes on and wins the premiership.
Flag, so
sliding doors.
We talk about Favola leaving, Andrew Walker almost leaving. You also, at the end of 2007, almost left.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah, very close. I mean, Hawthorn put up a pretty attractive offer, and it was pretty much a done deal. And then, Carlton, right at the last hour, sort of matched the deal. And
so Bret Thornton really wanted you to stay?
No. Pagan was still. Was still
that 2006 then?
2000.
So at the end of 2007, Pagan was gone and Ratton.
So it must have been 2006. Yeah. So I remember definitely meeting up with him after that I'd re-signed. So
I thought it was 07, but okay.
And then Hawthorn sort of played in a premiership a couple of years later. So you sort of think what
might have been. Do you think about that?
Oh, a little bit, but. You know what?
You'd come off 3 wooden spoons in 5 years.
But you know what?
No wonder you wanted to leave.
But looking back on it now, although we didn't have the success, I'm still blessed to have played so much with such a great club. So there's always positives for sure.
Always a blue. You're not a GWS. You're a blue.
That one game doesn't.
We must ask you, after 2011 and the heartbreak of losing the semi-final to West Coast, the following year was a tumultuous year. We were crippled with injuries. We still won half of our games, 11 out of the 22. In fact, after round 20, we were 11 wins and 9 losses.
Yeah, right.
And we just smashed Essendon by 16 goals at the MCG. And 10 days later, Bret Thornton gets a sack. Do you remember what happened up to then?
No, that was...
Because 1 week after we smashed Essendon, we beat the Gold Coast... Sorry, we lost to the Gold Coast Suns by 2 goals.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden his career's over.
Was there any inkling going on at the club that like something was happening with Rats, or did it all seem...
Yeah, from my point of view, it was all pretty abrupt,
was it?
Oh, yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, I think a lot of the players think that way. I mean, it was... I think there was a lot going on behind the scenes, wasn't there?
There was.
Yeah, there was.
And
that's for sure.
Once again, it's just the coach in the wrong place at the wrong time, I think.
I think the board's feeling at the time, now it might have been influenced by the CEO, who was a big Malthouse supporter. That we had the team, we just didn't quite have the right coach to get the team to the promised land.
Yeah, definitely in their point of view.
And his feeling, I'm sure this is how he sold it to the board. If we get Malthouse here, he's a proven premiership coach, he's won 3 of them.
Things will happen.
Malthouse can get us that next step. And that was the thinking behind sacking Ratton and getting Malthouse in.
Yeah, I think he summed it up perfectly. I mean,
don't forget, only 1 year earlier, he'd coached Collingwood to a second consecutive grand final.
That's right. Yeah,
obviously in 2010 they won, 2011 they didn't.
It's a bit like the Britain story as well, we were talking about before with Pagan.
Yeah, I think it was. It's almost identical,
Coaching's it's a lot about timing and luck, isn't it?
It is.
You look at what Rats did at Hawthorn, but as an assistant, they won 3 flags and then he got and he got another crack with St Kilda.
So that was 10 years after you first started and saw the end of Britain, for Pagan. 10 years later, it's the end of Ratton, and in comes Malthouse.
Yeah. Were you there for Malthouse?
No, so I left that pre-season that he came in.
2012.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but certainly a few changes. Played under a lot of different assistants as well. Rossi Lyon was my first assistant coach on my first year.
Could you tell then that he'd make a good senior coach?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I loved him. Yeah, just. Yeah,
and John Worsfold was another one, wasn't it?
No, I didn't get Worsfold.
Did you?
No, he left. I think he left the year before.
He was here at the time too. Okay. He might have left the year before.
Yeah, no, we had.
So,
amazing.
Mate, it was an interesting 10 years.
Certainly was. No, lots of
11
years, in fact, including 2002 to 2012.
Yeah, it was interesting.
11 years inclusive,
But you played like it was your dream to play football, of course, right?
Oh, mate, no doubt about it.
Did you ever think, we'll go quickly back, did you ever think, like, when you're playing juniors, do you ever think I'm going to play AFL? Or when does that come about where you think, you know what?
Am I good enough to play?
Yeah. It's always your dream, for sure. It's probably not until...
Were you confident of getting picked up in the draft? Were you told at the time, hey...
Well, as I said, the clubs sort of promise you, and being a young kid, you're pretty...
excited by that.
Pretty excited, and... but I thought I did enough.
Did you have a bit of a strut? 3 clubs are after me?
Oh, for sure.
And then none of them ended up picking you up?
Yeah, but it's funny, though, looking back on that draft, the players that, were in that draft wasn't...
it was a special one.
It was a great draft, and,
you went pick 32.
Yeah, you said that before.
Yep. Pretty good in a draft in a draft of that quality. That's a huge...
No, but in the rookie.
That was
in the rookie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I'll take that in the national.
Just say we were picked 32 in the 2001 draft. That's all.
But
it was a really solid career. You were a very reliable player. That we really did depend on you a lot to hold up the back line, and regardless of people's opinions, I look back on those years and know at least Bret Thornton played his role and played his part, and never shied away from playing on some of the best forwards in the game. And I think we should take our hat off to you, mate.
Thanks, mate.
You really served our club well.
Appreciate those words.
You really served our club well.
100%.
And we'll never forget T-Bird, mate.
The T-Bird,
Had the ball on a string, didn't you?
Oh.
But sometimes.
No, you done well. You done well, man. I'm telling you, you're part of the Blue family.
Yep.
And what was it? 188 games, 30 goals.
Yep. And guess what? We're here at this place called Parkside here in Parkville. Do you know who we interviewed over at this place? Was someone that you played a premiership with after your AFL career was over.
Oh, Ryan Houlihan.
Yeah.
You played a premiership with him in Deer Park, wasn't it?
Had a couple of 2 years at Deer Park. So,
there you go.
It was great playing with hoops and all that, and nice to win a flag.
Is that? I know it's only it's not AFL, but how is it winning a flag?
Doesn't
matter. Does it make?
I don't think. Obviously an AFL.
No, of course.
Number one,
but I reckon the feeling's the same. Like when you win it with your mates,
you're still working together for 12 months trying to get that goal.
You will get reunions happening at Deer Park for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's right. No, and it was great to, didn't get much success playing at AFL level, but to go back to that lower level, and it was
exactly.
When you go back and play at this is interesting. When you go back and play at a lower level, do you get targeted? Are there kamikaze players who come out there and think, that's like, I'm gonna give him a hard time here.
Yeah, you do. I mean, there's not as much, there's no cameras and all that down there. You can get away with a lot more back there. So you do get a few clips over the head.
Yeah, I reckon you would too. Because that would be a bit of a...
Then again, you can give a few other blokes a clip over the head that you weren't able to get away with.
That's right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, see, here Scotland went and coached a premiership, for example, over at Darley. In that league over there in the Western District. So... I mean, a lot of you have gone on and experienced some form of success elsewhere, even though it might be at a lower level.
And AFL, let's admit, it's hard to win a premiership.
Very hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of good players that haven't won premierships in there.
100%, man. For sure. So. It's hard, man, and it's hard as a supporter to win a premiership just for too. All right, just quickly, we'll just before we finish off. I don't know who Carltons have played this week because we don't know when the interview's going on. But
how do you reckon we're going this year?
well, it's hard to say how we're going to go, but what do you think about the Blues? Like, I don't know. What do you think about the Blues? Like,
first month was really positive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, getting those wins and that game against Richmond we should have won, but I don't think it's far away, is it? The Cattle's there. You got, as we said before, you got 2 Coleman medalists and a Brownlow medalist playing in the team at the moment. Like,
but there's something missing.
Yeah, it's hard to put your finger on it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's hard. Well, what's, like at the moment, like the team's had a couple of losses there, and they're not looking too sharp, and it just looks like, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Yeah. If I knew, I'd be coaching, but I don't know what it is. But there seems to be like they're not gelling. Like that's another thing, as a team, when you're playing with your mates, you have to gel. You know what I mean? Like you
got each other's back.
Yeah, chemistry. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of missing. I don't know. It just doesn't look like they're gelling. They're just all over the place. So.
Yeah.
Or does it always look like that when you're losing? And
yeah.
So you played in a lot of losses. Let's be honest.
I can't. I'm not going to say too much.
Did the team gel a lot back then, even though they were losing, or do you think that there was a bit of fracturing?
Yeah, maybe that was probably a part of our problem as well. But all I know is the older you get, it's bloody a lot easier sitting on the couch or sitting in the stands watching the game. So
you got to see me. I'm an expert, man. I'm a bad expert.
Is it only human nature that when you're losing games, you tend to become a bit more selfish? And when I say selfish, you're trying to protect your position within the team a bit more than doing the selfless thing?
Definitely. I mean, you compare that to a top 4 team or a premiership team. Look at Geelong last. Players in that team just know their roles. They know, they know what's the standard is. If they slip below that, they're not going to get a game next week. And that makes the clarity's there for everyone. And they hold them to standards, and it's when you get to that level, that's when premierships happen. So
100%.
But a bit disappointed about the Blues yesterday and all that, but they're not far away. So
something's got to click. But I've been saying for a few weeks that it's like we're on this knife edge where we can go either way. Like I'm scared that if we fall the wrong way, we can actually fall away because everyone's just going to lose confidence. But a couple of good wins, all of a sudden, because how important is the confidence in?
It's a fragile thing, isn't it?
Like with your players and a team, like confidence is so big, isn't it?
And the window, when you're in that window, you have to take that chance, don't you? I mean, clubs just can pass you. You think,
because other teams are trying to.
Yeah, the same thing.
Yeah, they're all thinking
the same. It's just
so
competitive. That's such a competitive league. So
it's tough. It's tough. Anyway.
Did you ever have ambitions on coaching anywhere?
Nah, not at all.
Or staying in the game?
Nah.
In some capacity?
Nah, not at all.
So what are you doing with yourself post-career now? It's been nearly 10 years.
Just in the family business now and working hard there, and just loving kids' sport and
married to Heidi now?
Yeah, married now.
How long have you been married now?
So we've been married for 12 years.
Fantastic. And you got two young children?
2 kids, So
any potential father sons in there, Brett?
The young fella, he goes all right.
Yeah?
So
What's his first name?
Will.
Will.
Yeah.
And what about your daughter?
And Ruby? Yeah, Ruby's she's playing footy for the first time this year. So she's showing a bit as well. So it's
Will Thornton, remember that?
So 12 and 10.
Oh, 12.
So,
I'm telling you, in about 5 or 6 years ago, we're going to have Walkers, Camporellis, Thorntons, man.
Father-son and father-daughter coming right up.
Oh, hopefully it'd be great. It's great, great with the AFLW now, isn't it? It gives the girls a bit of a pathway as well. So and Carlton have got a great setup. We actually brought Ruby to one of the games last year. And Andy McKay and all that.
Yes.
So
and he's got his daughter there.
She's
a great player.
Is. Yeah, definitely. So it's sensational.
Excellent. All right.
No worries.
Mate, you served our club so well over 188 games and 30 goals. Let's not forget the 30 goals. That would have been great to kick. And mate, in a very trying period for the club, you really did help to hold up the back line and really stood out for us, and we really appreciate all of the memories that you created for our long-suffering supporters during those years, and mate, congratulations on a great career.
Thanks, Vince. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, mate.
And now,
as we all say,
You are a legend of the jumper punch. How's that? Put that right on your CV.
That's all you could do back then.
Thanks, mate.
No worries. Thanks, boys.
Go Blues.
Dead and buried deep within a cemetery. I will fight, never weary. I wanna be legendary. Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery. I will fight, never weary. I wanna be legendary. Coming out of the gate, I'll be last place, that's alright. I don't work at a fast pace.